Before you panic, I want you to watch this and answer this question. Every single thing that you went through, didn't it always work out? Every time. Even if it didn't turn out how you wanted to, didn't it always work out? What's up, y'all? I'm Jamai. It's another episode of Manifesting Stardom. It's my journey to being the biggest star in the world, and I wanted to tell y'all today that when you're going through the hardest times in your life, or when you're just going through hard times, which are common for a lot of us because life is going to life, but when you're going through hard times in your life, you need to remember the times when things worked out. And so I'm thinking about it today because I just kind of got a victory, another hardship that I'm going through. And I've been really, really anxious about it these last couple of days. I've been really stressed about it, and it all worked out. And so it's easier to say in hindsight, but when you look back, I can't really think of a time where it didn't work out. And so when moments like this come, I have to tell myself to take a mental snapshot, screenshot of this moment, how you feel in those emotions, that gratitude, that sense of relief, and try to copy and paste that sense of gratitude, that sense of sureness, that sense of gratefulness in other moments where things seem to be not working out, or when things seem to be like you don't know how it's going to turn out. But God has always came through every single time. Who's calling me? God has always come through every single time. So that's what we need to realize. And so that's why I want you to watch this before you panic. Before you panic, before you think it's all over and think the worst of everything, just remember the moments where God did what he did for you. And so I think a lot of what I talk about on this channel is about being diligent and disciplined and focused and really, really positive. But we need to also just recognize when things are working out, when things are working good for you, that we need to also be as diligent and as grateful in those moments, because it's easy for you to focus on all the stuff that's not working, but a lot of us are living prayers, living lives that we prayed about years ago. You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting in my own studio, in my own house, that's in my name, like with my fans, with my followers. I don't know why I'm coughing. With my followers, with my community, with my iPad, in my studio, in my space of solitude. I pray for these days. I pray for these moments. You know what I'm saying? So the first point is your mind remembers pain easier than provision. People replay trauma all day, constantly, but rarely replay miracles. You have to be intentional about remembering the times where God carried you through the impossible. There's so many things that we've experienced in life that we thought we wasn't going to make it through. We thought no idea how this is going to work out, and we here today to tell a story. Every single thing you went through, you actually made it through. Even if it was painful, even if it didn't work out how you thought it would, you're here to tell the story. So it always works out. The scripture for that is Psalms 103:2. It says, "Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not forget not all his benefits." It's really that simple. We might take an L, but we never live in that L. You know what I'm saying? It says fear has a short memory. Anxiety makes you feel like this hard moment is permanent. But the truth of the matter is, you've been in other situations, even if you haven't been in this specific one. And so we just got to remember the times when God did it, and use that same energy and put it on the other times where we're going through hardship. The second point I have is delayed does not mean denied. Just because you've been delayed don't mean it's denied. Sometimes things come through at the last second, not because God forgot about you, but because pressure reveals what really is in your faith. How many times I tell you all that? If you want to see a wild animal truly show their strength, back them into a corner. You might run across a wild bear, but more than likely that bear is going to flee from you. But if you back that bear up into a corner, you're going to see what that bear is really made of. Same thing with a squirrel, same thing with a possum, and almost any animal, to be honest. They'll go to what is comfortable, but when you back them in a corner, they're going to defend themselves and they're going to fight to get out of that situation. And that's what God does with us. It's in our nature to retreat, to go for what's comfortable, to go for what's easy, to pull on the low-hanging fruit. But when we backed in a corner, that's when we really get to see what our faith is made of, what our strength is made of, what our creativity and our tenacity is really made of. And so sometimes that's what God does in order for us to show that. God has to put us in a position for it to be forced out. The scripture for that is 2 Corinthians 4:8. We are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed. Through the moments that you thought it was over, you know what I mean? Somehow provision showed up. I had plenty of moments where I thought this was surely the end. I thought it's no way I could get out of this situation. And God showed up in the nick of time. You know what I'm saying? Somehow a door opened. Somehow, an answer came. Somehow a check came. Somehow this bill was written off or you got a longer extension. Man, I've been there so many times and I know you have too. And so we just have to remember those moments and other times where we have something that we're facing and we don't know how it's going to turn out. Take your mind back and look back over what God did for you the last time. And that is going to help you stay sane in the waiting process, because your countenance and your mindset is partly what creates your future and what shows God where your faith truly is. You know what I'm saying? The last point is remembering past victories builds future strength. You need mental references for hard times. When pressure comes again, you need to be able to say, I survived before and God came through before. I'll get through this too. And so that's why it's very important for when we do get the victories that we write them down, that we vlog about them, that we tell people about them, that we testify, that we put a mental screenshot of how it felt when this victory came through for us. You know what I'm saying? And the scripture for that is 1 Samuel 17:37. David said, the Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the Philistines. In other words, David was saying, the God who did it yesterday, he'll do it again today. And that's what you need to say to yourself. The God who rescued me before, he'll rescue me again. I believe that he'll rescue me again. I believe that there will be some great thing that comes out of this. What is the lady name? Her name is Abraham something, but she's one of the pioneers of the self-help, self-manifestation, era. And she says, all things are working no, that's scripture. All things working together, but it is the same thing. She said, everything always works out for me. Only good lies before me. And she said, only good lies before me. And everything that I'm facing is serving to my highest good. So even if it looks bad, the ultimate purpose is for the betterment of me, of a person. So that's like you saying, thinking that, and this might even be hard for you to understand because you already know what going to the gym does for you. But that's like when you lifting a weight and you saying, this is so terrible, this is so heavy, I can't do it, life is terrible. But lifting that weight is what's helping your cardiovascular, it's helping your muscles look better, it's helping your body look better, it's building your confidence, it's building your strength. But in the moment of lifting, you feel like, oh, this is terrible. This doesn't feel good. But that's what God is doing with us spiritually, creatively, mentally, emotionally, career-wise. He's building us so that we're able to really sustain what it is that he has before us. And it's changing us. Nobody runs a marathon by not training for the marathon. Or nobody wins a marathon doing that. Nobody completes a marathon if they haven't trained. And so God is preparing us for the marathon of life. God is preparing us for the next season where we need to be, excuse me, we need to be mentally, emotionally, financially, uh, uh, literacy, uh, 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 legally prepared for this next season. We have to be ready on all sides, and so God has to prepare us, and His way of preparing us is far better than our ways of preparing us. Because how can you prepare yourself for something that you've never had before? If I have done something and you haven't, or I know what's on the other side of this thing, or I know, or I've been there, or I am God, and I am wisdom, and I know what's required. How is it that you think, you, the person that's never been a millionaire, that's never been famous, that's never been number one on the Forbes list, that's never been on the bestsellers list, you've never been there before, so you've never had to deal with all that comes along with it. So how can you tell God, or how can you think that you know how to prepare for that more than someone who has had it? Or better more, or furthermore, God who's creating the scenario for you. You know what I'm saying? So, you gotta take the receipts with grace. You need to look at what God has done for you. You need to be inspired by it. You need to learn from it. And you need to remember the good times that God brought you through, and place them in the moments where things don't look good. So before you panic, go through a nice list and just investigate your memory of all the times God brought you through where you felt the same level of panic, you felt the same level of fear and scarcity and lack. And think about, well, God did it then, so that you can realize that God will do it again. So don't panic. Just praise, get in your word, and keep your emotions regulated. You know what I'm saying? That's all we can do. I'll see y'all tomorrow.